Today's true crime revolves around a man who claims to be a 300-year-old vampire and a 12-year-old girl who fell into a forbidden love, which left the girl's entire family murdered. A dark tale that concludes with a disturbing twist. So for those fascinated by true crime, mysteries, and the paranormal, you found your haven. This channel is dedicated to exploring such stories with new content uploaded 3 times a week at least. So if you're intrigued, please consider liking and subscribing to support our channel's growth. Now, let's dive into today's gripping story. Let me take you to a small town, Medicine Hat in Alberta, Canada. The date, 23rd April 2006. Now picture this. A 12-year-old girl named Jasmine Richardson and her 23-year-old boyfriend, Jeremy Steinke. Now Jasmine wasn't your typical 12-year-old. She looked older. She hung out at rock concert, and that's where she met Jeremy, just 3 months before what happened next. Jasmine and Jeremy, they were just hanging out. They were plotting something dark and chilling. You see, Jasmine's parents, they didn't approve of this relationship. And how did Jasmine and Jeremy respond? They planned revenge. Revenge in the most horrifying way possible. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into this eerie world. Jasmine, online, she was no longer Jasmine. She was the Runaway Devil. On forums like Vampire Freaks and Nuxopia, where she pretended to be 15 years old. Jeremy, he went by Soul Eater. These usernames, they were a gateway to a twisted fantasy they were building together. And Jeremy, he was not your average guy. He fancied himself as a 300-year-old vampire, carrying a vial, weird, of his own blood around his neck. A vampire lost in time, he said, trying to find his way in the modern world. Now here's where it gets even more twisted. Jasmine's parents, sensing something was off, tried to cut her off from Jeremy. But instead of backing down, Jasmine's obsession turned darker. She started to think in her twisted logic that her parents deserved to die for trying to control her life. Jeremy, he had his own dark inspirations. He was obsessed with the movie Natural Born Killers, a film about a young couple on a killing spree. In his distorted mind, this was a love story, a template for what he and Jasmine could be. Now their plan, to murder Jasmine's family. To them, it seemed like the only way to be together without interference. Jasmine's digital footprint before the murders, haunting. Pictures of her with a gun, gothic makeup, and a post that read, "Welcome to my tragic end." That fateful morning, Jeremy in his trailer watches Natural Born Killers again. He tells his friends this is how they'll make their stand, just like in the movie. In his twisted view, it was the greatest love story ever told. And if you've seen that movie is completely twisted. Now let's turn the pages to the morning of April 23rd. The scene, a house in Medicine Hat. A house that was about to become a site of unimaginable horror. Jeremy and Jasmine, they met up with a plan so dark it chills the spine. They enter Jasmine's family home. What happens next is the stuff of nightmares. Jasmine's father, who's 42 years old, and his name is Mark. Her mother, 48-year-old Deborah, and her little brother, 8-year-old Tyler. They all fall victim to this gruesome plan. The method? Stabbing. A very brutal and personal act. When the police arrived, tipped off by a family friend who stumbled upon this horrific scene, what they find is a home drenched in blood. The parents found in the basement, and poor young Tyler, his life tragically cut short on the first floor. At first, Jasmine, she's nowhere to be found. The police think she's a victim too, maybe kidnapped, or maybe even worse. But as they dig deeper, they uncover messages between her and Jeremy. The shocking truth. Jasmine wasn't a victim, she was the perpetrator. Within a day, the runaway couple is found in Leader, Saskatchewan, about 80 miles from the crime scene. Jeremy had roped in his friend, 19-year-old Casey Lancaster, a drug addict, to help them escape. Casey, later charged as an accessory, drove them in her pickup truck along with 3 underage friends. Then, in a twisted right out of a dark fairy tale, Jeremy proposes to Jasmine. She says yes, still under the spell of her 300-year-old vampire. Now the trials. Jeremy, he falls for an old trick. He confesses to an undercover cop in his cell. Guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder. In his sentence, 3 life sentences, 1 for each life taken. Jasmine's trial, it's more complex. She's young, her identity protected under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Still, she's found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder, the youngest in Canada with such a conviction. Her sentence? 10 years in a psychiatric institution. Now we fast forward to autumn 2011. Jasmine's released under a community rehab order. By mid-6 2016, she's free. No strings attached. But here's where it gets even more chilling. This case is more than just the acts themselves. It's about what it represents. How deeply disturbing it is. It's a tale that leaves us questioning and wondering about the darkest corners of the human heart. Now, as we delve deeper, we find ourselves confronted with a disturbing question. Where does the line of innocence end, especially when a child is involved? Remember, Jasmine's only 12 years old. She was found guilty of 3 premeditated murders, but she was alone in her darkness. Or was there more to this macabre partnership? And now imagine this, as they flee from Medicine Hat, Jasmine and Jeremy, with a group of underage kids in a pickup truck, come across a newspaper report of their own heinous act. You'd expect horror, remorse, right? Instead, they smile, even just about Jasmine's old school photo in the paper. It's a chilling glimpse into their twisted minds. On the morning of the murders, Jeremy watched Natural Born Killers, but there's a phone call, a frantic one, overheard by his friends. He's pacing, he's panicking, saying, "I don't want to do this. Are you sure you want to do this?" It turns out, according to witnesses, it's Jasmine on the other end, pushing. She's insisting. As Jeremy watches the movie, he points out a scene where Juliette Lewis's character spares her younger brother. "That's where we do it different," he says. She, Jasmine, would kill her brother. It's a cold, calculated thought. Jeremy believes Jasmine could kill her brother, but not the adult. His friends, they hear this, but can't believe he's serious. What if you really go through with it? Jeremy tells his friends they wouldn't understand. He sees in Jasmine someone as crazy as him. And maybe in a dark, twisted way, he's right. Now let's talk about Jasmine. She's convicted a year before Jeremy, and initially the media suggested Jeremy was the sole murderer. But the truth? It seems Jasmine was the mastermind, cold, manipulative, even sociopathic. Words used to describe her, yet she was still a child. Her brain was still developing. And at her trial, a horrifying confession. She admits to killing her younger brother Tyler. A little boy begging for his life, saying he's too young to die. Now Jasmine, without even a tear, slices his throat. And Jeremy later says she showed no remorse, even laughed about it the next day. It begs the question, could a 12-year-old girl be so desensitized to death that she manipulates a 23-year-old into murder? It seems they were both walking a dark path long before their paths crossed. Jeremy's life was descent into darkness. He grew up in a trailer park with his mother, haunted by the shadows of a painful past. His father, a cruel figure, had subjected him to years of abuse during his childhood. Jeremy's struggle was apparent. He had been relying on the antidepressants for over a decade. He dropped out of school and carried an air of naivety about him that made him seem younger than his actual age. Yet, a chilling transformation occurred within him. He committed a heinous act mercilessly. He stabbed Deborah Richardson 12 times, leaving her lifeless body at the foot of a basement staircase. And his violence didn't stop there. He proceeded to stab Mark, the dad, 24 times. The walls bore witness to the macabre scene, splattered with their blood. With a cold determination, Jeremy followed his girlfriend up the stairs to her brother's room. In the short few months he had spent with Jasmine, Jeremy had entered dark dreams. He envisioned a gothic wedding ceremony, the two of them bound together, in a future in a castle in Germany where they could indulge in their sinister fantasies without restraint. Jasmine's own descent into darkness was equally chilling. Once a cheerful and bright girl, her life took a sinister turn at the age of 11. She became obsessed with violence, delving into a world of disturbing desires. she found solace in the realm of mythical vampires and an insatiable craving for blood. Her profiles told a haunting tale, listing her interests as blood, darkness, human anatomy, serial killers, hatches, criminal psychology, and other disturbing subjects. Her heroes included the likes of Jeffrey Dahmer, Marilyn Manson, and Donnie Fifth from the UK bass metal group Cradle of Filth. Her favorite band? Defying convention. Jasmine refused to conform to school uniforms. Instead, she roamed the world cloaked in a short skirt and heavy black makeup. She even misled others about her age. She claimed to be 15 or even 16-year-old sometimes, depending on what she believed she could get away with. The darkness had consumed them, both, blinding their fates in an eerie and unsettling narrative. So, that wraps up today's episode. If you enjoyed today's story and found it valuable, please don't forget to hit the like button, and also consider subscribing to my channel and activate all notifications to ensure you don't miss any future uploads. Your support means a lot. Until next time, take care and see you soon.